Ideally, I want people to think, wait, this is Zelda? In a 2013 interview with 4Gamer, longtime series producer Eiji Aonuma was asked whether he ever got tired of work on The Legend of Zelda. A non-Japanese media outlet had quoted him as having said that he was tired of making Zelda games, a statement that Aonuma didn't recall making. In response, Aonuma explained why designing Zelda games is actually never repetitive or dull. It all comes, he said, from trying not just to be a games developer, but a craftsman. He explained, quote, "Craftsmen who have been active in various fields for many years don't just stick to traditional methods. They change many things to make them relevant in the modern era. The reason some fields have survived from ancient times to the present is because the craftsmen have invented and adapted to the times. If they kept doing the same thing, it would go out of style." End quote. Certainly this desire to adapt, to change, and to avoid repeating the same type of work can be seen throughout the history of Zelda titles. While many games follow a relatively familiar structure, the nuances, gameplay, and especially the art style change dramatically between games. In contrast to, say, the Super Mario franchise, which has been locked into a gameplay and art style for well over 30 years by this point, every mainline Zelda game looks different, excepting direct sequels which tend to involve a little more consistency. According to Aonuma, he and his team regularly consider which fundamental elements of the Zelda experience can be tweaked, reworked, or even removed entirely, and that includes Princess Zelda herself. He said, quote, "I sometimes talk to Miyamoto about this, and when we talk about, for example, does Princess Zelda really have to be there, of course she's not necessary, but that's not the main point. When you think about it that way, all that's left is a game that offers a unique experience. The core of the Legend of Zelda series is how many things we can include that make players feel like they've never experienced anything like it before." Nevertheless, as much as Aonuma's team might like to try different things with each project, there are certain staple ideas, characters, items, and concepts that come up time and time again, but according to Aonuma, these aren't as rigid as they might appear. He said, quote, "We do have some words, like the Master Sword and the Triforce, but there aren't any other rules. We're just trying to see how far we can take the gameplay each time. I feel like The Legend of Zelda has a broad-mindedness that allows for anything, so rather than narrowing it down, I want to expand that even further." End quote. Even the primary source of debates among Zelda fans, the timeline, isn't considered sacred or untouchable. After mentioning the timeline as an example of something he gets asked about a lot, Aonuma said, quote, "Surprisingly, the team is quite flexible. With such a long series, if we were to tie ourselves down in an unnatural way, it would be a drag on us." End quote. He also said, quote, "We've done a lot of different things. We want to bring more and more new sensations to what players feel when they play the game. The same goes for the story. It's not interesting if it's just a reproduction. If it's not a story that you can feel, I think it's meaningless." End quote. In recent years, there's been a lot of discussion among Zelda fans about what kind of gameplay works best for the series, with games like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and Echoes of Wisdom all proving to be polarizing. This is nothing new. Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword all have staunch defenders and fierce critics, so it's safe to say that Aonuma has taken quite a lot of heat over the years, simply because the Legend of Zelda series doesn't aim for uniformity. His response to this kind of criticism is admirable. He said, quote, "I'm incredibly grateful to have fans who are so attached to the game. Even if it's not the Zelda game they were looking for, I want to create a Zelda that appeals to them and makes them want to play it." End quote. In spite of all of this, the team aren't trying to completely throw everything away just for the sake of experimentation, and it's Aonuma's hope that the core Zelda experience will always shine through, no matter how varied or unique a game might feel otherwise. The goal is simply that the team avoid relying too heavily on series traditions and getting too comfortable as creators. He said, quote, "Traditional can often feel like a copy of a previous game, so if you stick to that, the uniqueness will gradually disappear. That's why I'm currently thinking about making those commonplace parts even more unique. So I'm definitely not bored of Zelda. If anything, I'm passionate about changing it more and more. Ideally, I want people to think, wait, this is Zelda, but when they play it, they'll realise, oh, that's Zelda." End quote. The moral of the story: it's better to try new things and learn and grow in new ways than to get too comfortable doing the same thing over and over and ending up stuck in a creative rut. Which is why this video looks like, well, this.